Raju sir, start.
Yeah. Namaskar. Welcome to the fifth and the final day of the national webinar series titled Knowledge Generation in Education During COVID-19 Pandemic, organized by Bombay Teachers Training College, Mumbai, in collaboration with the Department of Education, University of Mumbai. Before we begin today's session, let's pay obeisance to the Almighty with the Universal College Prayer. Let's now listen to the university song.
सुंदरम मंदिरम शारदाया मुंबापुरी विश्वविद्यालयम् इदं सुंदरम मंदिरम शारदाया मुंबापुरी विश्वविद्यालयम् कलाशास्त्र वाणिज्य शाखाधिरूढा अमूढा विमुक्ता विहंगा वयम् शृण्वन्तु सर्वे दृढं निश्चयम् शृण्वन्तु सर्वे दृढं निश्चयम् इदं सुन्दरं मन्दिरं शारदाया मुंबापुरी विश्वविद्यालयम् सत्यं वदामो धर्मं चरामो नयामो नृणां दुःखभारं लयम् सत्यं वदामो धर्मं चरामो नयामो नृणां दुःखभारं लयम् स्वकार्ये रतानां सदा जागृतानां भवेत् किं भविष्येति तस्मात् भयम्
Thank you. Before we begin today's session, let's revise what happened yesterday on the day 4th of the webinar series. It was a very interesting day because the session started with Dr. V.P. Joshit as the resource person for the topic experimental research. He is from the Central University, Nagaland University, Kohima, and was from Central University of Kerala. Sir discussed the common problems in experimental studies in education. He elaborated on how to control variables. The experimental designs were also reviewed by him. It was truly an enriching and fruitful session. Thereafter, in the evening, session 9, we were supposed to have Professor R.G. Kothari. Please change the slide. Thank you. Professor R.G. Kothari, who is the former Vice Chancellor of Veer Narmad South Gujarat University, was supposed to speak and share his ideas on the topic quality in educational research. Unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, we couldn't connect with him. But I'm sure that Dr. Bhagwan Balani, as well as Professor Dr. Shefali Pandya ma'am, will ensure that he's there with us in our next webinar series and we will gain from his expertise. So the session was taken up then by our own Dr. Sybil Thomas, Associate Professor of the Department of Education, University of Mumbai. At the last 11th moment, she took up the session and the topic that she chose is very pertinent because very few of us understand the significance of this topic, and that is evaluation research. Dr. Sybil Thomas gave a comprehensive overview of the evaluation research. She pointed out that evaluation research is more challenging because of various reasons. It is a research undertaken for the purpose of determining the impact of some social intervention, such as a program aimed at solving social problems. Evaluation research refers to a purpose rather than a specific method. She gave real-time examples from the educational field, how program evaluation helps to ensure program efficiency. The output generated during the program evaluation can be acted on as an input for the next evaluation. She explained in detail about the evaluation plan, what is the purpose of evaluation, program structure, and many other aspects. In her concluding remark, she focused that evaluation research can be used for policy making with need assessment and social impact assessment. Thank you, Dr. Sybil, for coming up at the last moment and adding a feather to our national webinar series. Now is the session 10, day 5, morning session. And this session is going to be dealt by Dr. Bhagwan Balani. Yes, he is the host. He is the in-charge principal of Bombay Teachers Training College, and he is going to speak on the topic, very important topic in quantitative research, and that is inferential analysis. Dr. Balani has many qualifications: Master of Science in Organic Chemistry, Master of Education, PGDME. He has qualified the lecturer eligibility test at the national as well as the state level, and he is a doctorate in education. He is the in-charge principal at Bombay Teachers Training College since 2018. He completed his doctorate degree on developing a quality assurance model of teacher education program. It's a wonderful model. He has come out with his research in form of a book, and I recommend the participants to please go and purchase the book and read it. It is really going to benefit you with respect to quality inputs for teacher education program. He is a recognized teacher of the university, postgraduate teaching for M.Ed and MA degree by papers in education. His academic and research-based papers have been published in many Indian and international journals of repute. He has presented research-based papers at various conferences in India. He has a vast teaching experience of around 16 years in education colleges, B.Ed colleges. He has taught subjects like educational evaluation, teaching of mathematics, teaching of science, population education, environmental education, action research, understanding disciplines and school subjects, assessment for learning, and gender, school, and society. I particularly am fortunate because we both have shared many of these courses together for so many years at BTTC. He has also taught research methodology to the students pursuing MA education with the Institute of Distance and Open Learning IDOL of University of Mumbai. He has written handouts in almost all subjects taught by him for student references. He is extremely passionate about research in the field of education. He has guided 7 students for their dissertation pursuing the Master in Education program with University of Mumbai. He has also guided B.Ed students while undertaking the various action research projects on contemporary educational issues. He has completed a minor research project funded by University of Mumbai along with his colleague. He has also completed major research project funded by UGC along with the director of Bombay Teachers Training College. He has guided several research scholars in completing their research assignments. He has also helped all his colleagues at the college with their PhD research work. He has spearheaded the community work program in his college and has taken initiative in sensitizing student teachers in social endeavors. He has played a key role in linking student teachers with the institutions by organizing visits to various NGOs and community centers. Dr. Balani, as I know him, he has a rich cultural knowledge, not only of to the minority community, that is the Sindhi community to which he belongs, but also he has wide knowledge about India's cultural heritage, particularly Gujarat, Maharashtra. And he is full of idioms and phrases from daily life, and it is so lively when you talk with him. You never feel that you're meeting him for the first time. He is a man of simple living but high thinking. And I think that is a great virtue in nowadays because it's very difficult to live a life like that. We are so fortunate to have Dr. Balani as our colleague and as our in-charge principal of the college. And we are also fortunate that he has decided to take this particular session on inferential analysis, which is his expertise. Dr. Balani, all the best. And the session, I hand over the session to you now.
Thank you, Rajiv sir.
Thank you so much.
For your kind words. I am fortunate that Department of Education, University of Mumbai, and especially I am thankful to Dr. Shefali Pandya, who has really motivated the BTDC family to take up the new endeavors. And since we were talking last 6 months, we came to the conclusion that it is time to collaborate. And collaboration is the only key.
So just sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
Technical team, please ensure that Dr. Balani is audible enough.
Yeah, please check, Rajiv sir.
Audible to me, sir. He can just talk a little louder. Thank you.
Okay, check on the YouTube first. Jatin. Okay.
Yes.
So, I was saying that collaboration is the only key to grow with the like-minded people, and I am thankful to the entire faculty of University Department of Education, who has really collaborated with us in organizing national webinar on knowledge generation in education. And this is the right time to organize this national webinar. And I'm very happy that with the collective efforts of the BTDC family, the entire family and the department, we have reached to the final day of this webinar series. As far as research is concerned, we have deliberated on different aspects of the research, but the most important aspect of the research that I am going to take it up is the analysis of the data. Now, we have in all those webinars, we have dealt with introduction to the educational research, and then review of related literature, then research design by discussing how to construct the tool, how to do the sampling technique, and how to what kind of different descriptive researches that can be undertaken by the researchers. And especially we also deliberated on the thrust areas of the research. which was very nicely covered by Professor Peter Cunningham in his speech. So this is a unique opportunity for all of us, the educationists, to take it forward as far as the entire educational research is concerned, and add new chapters to that, so that we can create knowledge. We can create and, generate knowledge in education, its pedagogies, and the different, we can say, facets of educational research is concerned. Now, taking it forward, uh, uh, as far as educational research is concerned, Jatin, please host disabled participant screen sharing. Please enable me so that I can share the screen.
Yes, sir. Done.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Raju sir, is this fine? The slide is coming on the screen. Uh, Raju sir, please confirm. Yeah. Okay. So let us begin with the inferential analysis. Now, before I discuss on the inferential analysis, I will give emphasis on the descriptive statistics, descriptive analysis, because inferential analysis can be done only if one successfully does the descriptive analysis. So it's very important, and I do understand the relationship between descriptive analysis and the inferential analysis as formative assessment and the summative assessment. Because if you see, as far as formative assessment is concerned, it is related with the uh, monitoring as far as the progression of the educational process is concerned, especially in the classroom situation. Whereas, as far as the descriptive analysis is concerned, it is related with, we can say, when we undertake a project, and we are interested to know what kind of characteristics are emerging as far as the entire research process is concerned. We don't reach to the conclusion as far as descriptive analysis is concerned. But when we go to the inferential analysis is concerned, definitely we can make the decisions. We can connect the sample with the population. That I am going to elaborate more in my further slides. So let us begin with the descriptive uh, statistics. The process involves taking a potentially large number of data points in the sample and reducing them down to a few meaningful summary values in the graphs. So what we do after construction of the tool, we after checking its validity, reliability, and then uh, uh, till it's finalized, and we collect the data, and then the data is compiled in a very systematic manner in its different categories, and all these data points, which are drawn from the sample, are summarized in the form of, we can say, calculating the certain, we can say, preliminary statistics are concerned, like you got measures of central tendency and measures of variability, which I will take it further. So if you look at as far as this entire procedure is concerned, it allows us to gain more insight and visualize the data than simply pouring through the row upon a row numbers. So we don't limit ourselves to only compiling the data in the Excel forms or in any other form is concerned, but we go beyond that. We start summarizing those data points into summary values and the graphs. Summary values, I will say that when you compute measures of center tendency and the measures of variability in the form of calculating the dispersions as far as the different data points are concerned. And then later on, we convert these data points into the graphs. Now let us move further. Now, what are the different common tools of descriptive statistics is concerned? Center tendency, we use mean, median, and even also mode to locate the center of the data set. This measure tells you where the values fall. Now, if you got more than one groups, and if you are interested to know as far as their characteristics are concerned. You need to look into as far as these central measures are concerned, and upon looking on them, you can find out that which group has shown a very strong characteristics, of the variable for which you are doing the study. Uh, Whereas, as per the dispersion is concerned, you may find that there are certain data points in the distribution itself which are definitely concentrated toward the center, but they are also, we can say the distinct position as far as the center of the data is concerned. So in dispersion, what we do, we try to find out how far out the center do the data extend. So what we do, we calculate the range and the standard deviation to measure the dispersion. And the low dispersion now indicates the values cluster more tightly around the center. So that means if you see as far as the value of the standard deviation is concerned, which is almost 1/15th or 1/20th of the mean. Suppose that in your data, your mean is 50, then the value of the standard deviation may be around 8 to 10. So if that is the case, we can say that the values are clustering tightly towards the center, because the value of the standard deviation, the dispersion in the form of the sigma is concerned, it is less. Whereas there is another possibility, a higher dispersion signifies the data points fall further away from the center. So if the entire, we can say the population, the sample is not much homogeneous, if there are the difference in their opinions, in their views, in their characteristics, vast differences are there, then in that case, what you will find that these data points are at the distinct plates as per the center is concerned. And what we can do, we can convert these kind of dispersions in the form of the graph of that particular frequency distribution. And then we calculate the skewness. Skewness is nothing but one of the important measure of the variability that we observe in the data. The measure tells you whether the distribution of values is symmetric or skewed. This is very interesting. Now, if the distribution is normally distributed, then you must get the curve which is symmetric. And as far as that curve is concerned, it's termed as mesokurtic. And mesokurtic is such a curve, uh, whereas all the values of, we can say, central tendency, measure of the central tendency, mean, median, mode, they coincide with one another. They are in one line. Whereas if the data is scattered, or in other words, if the data is dispersed from the center, then there are chances that we may get a curve which is skewed. Now there are certain limits. Uh, as far as the skewness is concerned, the skewness may be moderate. Skewness may be, may not be a moderate also. So depending upon the data, or depending upon the value that we derive through the calculation of the skewness is concerned, we can take the further decisions whether the data allows us to go for the further analysis of the data, or whether sample allows us to go to the parametric test and allows us to apply the different statistical techniques or not. That's more important, that we will see further in our next slides. Now the next one, let me introduce to the what what is inferential statistics. Inferential statistics allows researchers to make predictions, inferences from the data. That is fantastic. This we can say the definition or the concept which I like the most. Now here I always give one example. Suppose that you are in charge of the langar, and you want to distribute the food, and you want to taste the quality of the food, and you have to take the decision whether the food is good enough to distribute to the people or not. So what you do, you take a little sample of that, and suppose that if you find that the food is tasty, the food is nutritious, Food is, we can say, ready to be consumed. If you approve it, then you distribute it. The same thing also applies over here. What we do as far as the entire population is concerned, we have got the limitation. We cannot approach the entire population and collect the data from them and compile and do the analysis. So what we do, we we take a chunk of the, we can say, the data, significant data, and then we test it. And suppose that after testing it, we find it, we can say, and keeping certain parameters in the mind, then we can draw inferences from this. So in educational processes, uh, as far as this process is concerned, it is a great help to all the educationists to draw the inferences and take the decisions on the basis of the observation of the outcome of the different statistical techniques are concerned. So that way, data collected from the samples is used to make generalization about the population. This is possible. I'll give one example how this process is being, uh, we can say, used by the media. Nowadays, we have seen a lot of elections and exit polls are concerned. Now, these survey, we can say, agencies who has become professional in the field and are mostly monitored by the TV channels and then the media house. What they do, they reach out to the entire population in different parts of the India, and then go and then they select the sample, and they come up with the, we can say, statistics and the result that so and so party is going to get so and so number of seats, plus minus 3%. Result may tilt from here, this point to the that point. This is only possible when you use the this technique of drawing the inferences from the sample. So what they do, they don't, we can say, take the data from the entire country or from that particular region, but they take the samples. But as per the sampling technique is concerned, Dr. Shri Singh has already explained to us how to, we can say, minimize the error as far as entire sampling process is concerned. So here, if you see, as far as the success of any research project is concerned, it starts from A to Z. It started from, we can say, recognizing and identifying and defining as far as conceptual framework is concerned, coining the different educational variables are concerned, conceptual, operational, how do you operationalize it, how do you explore as far as uh, the different variables which are related to your studies are concerned. Rajiv Jha sir has mentioned that we need to explore as far as the entire body of the knowledge is concerned, which is related to our variable, and what kind of researches have been taking place, and what they have found it, and where does, as far as our endeavors of research, they lie in between, and how we can fill the gap as far as the existing body of the knowledge is concerned. So this is very, very interesting. So let me move further. Okay, now inferential statistics. Inferential statistics takes data from the sample and makes inferences about the larger population from which the sample has been drawn. Now this I already elaborated. This is self-explanatory. So now I move to the next. The goal of the inferential statistics is to draw conclusion from the sample and generalize them to a population in the one and the same thing. Okay, now let us move further and discuss statistical inference. Statistical inference is the process of using data analysis to deduce properties of an underlying distribution of the probability. So what we do in the entire process of data analysis, what we are trying to do it, first, after collecting the data, we are putting it into the different categories. We are aligning our data with our objectives, and then our approaches of framing the hypothesis. And what we do, the main purpose is to deduce the properties of different variables, and we want to extract it, from the data, so that uh, we can uh, uh, we can draw the inferences on the basis of our observations. So if you look at very broadly, inferential statistical analysis is concerned, it infers properties of a population, for example, by testing hypotheses and deriving estimates. So we had to derive certain estimates. So it is assumed that observed data set sample from larger population. So whatever the sample that you are taking, it should be selected, should be taken very carefully in a systematic manner, so that that sample represents the population for which the study is being undertaken by the researcher. Now let us move to the next. Inferential analysis applications. Now, where do we use inferential analysis? We use to compare the average performance of the two groups on a single measure to see if there is a difference or not. If the difference is there, we can definitely say that a particular characteristic of a group has an edge over the other group. For example, if you want to know whether 8th grade boys and the girls differ in math test scores, multiple intelligence scores, or any other educational parameter is concerned, or whether a program group differs on the outcome measure from a control group. Whenever we wish to compare the average performance between the two groups, t-test the most appropriate test to find out the statistical differences between. Now, this is a very popular, we can say, measure we all must use while doing our MA program, dissertation, MPhil, or PhD is concerned. No, most of the time, 99% of the time, it has been seen that the people, while doing research on quantitative, we can say, type of researchers are concerned, they are making use of the t-test. I will elaborate this more in my further when I will take up certain cases. Then useful in experimental and quasi-experimental research, design, and in program outcome evaluation. So if you see, as far as the application of inferential analysis concerns, is very, very wide and very, very comprehensive. It has got many degrees and dimensions. It goes across various range of statistical analysis techniques are concerned. Some of them we will discuss in today's, we can say, discussion. Now, inferential statistics, there are certain statistical models, t-test, analysis of variance, ANOVA, analysis of covariance, regression analysis. Then you've got multivariate methods like vector analysis, multidimensional scaling, cluster analysis, discriminant function analysis. These are the some of the, we can say, the models where we are using the inferential analysis. Now, let us see the difference, which I already mentioned, difference or the contrast between descriptive statistics and the inferential statistics. Now, descriptive analysis describes what is going on in our data. For example, a chart or a graph, sample mean, we calculate sample mean, we calculate standard deviation, making a bar chart or box plot, describing the shape of the distribution, sample, that is probability distribution. So without that, you can never proceed. So that way, the entire exercise of the descriptive analysis is to understand the variables and its, we can say, measure as far as the different variables and its characteristics which are under study. So that way, descriptive statistics is solely concerned with the properties of the observed data, and it does not rest on the assumption that the data come from larger population. So here, descriptive analysis do not have anything as far as the, we can say, discussion of the larger population is concerned. We do not connect it with the larger population. We just compile the data. We just convert, do the measures of the, we can say, central tendency and the variability, and then put into the different tables, describe it, we draw the graphs, and then we do discussion of those graphs, but we do not connect it with the population. Whereas as far as the inferential analysis is concerned, it helps to estimate parameters, we test the hypothesis, we use the statistical models which help us in comparing the sample data to the other samples. And as far as the inferential studies is concerned, we use a random sample of the data taken from the population to describe and make inferences about the population, which I have repeated number of times. Now let us move now. Case 1. Now, rather than giving more emphasis on the theoretical basis of the inferential analysis is concerned, it will be better to, we can say, look into the different cases where inferential analysis is used to, we can say, draw the inferences from this. So this was the study the study point that was undertaken by Dr. Mitesh Gala while doing his PhD work. So I have taken a small, we can say, example of from his studies, and one of the objectives of his study was to study the quality assurance of the educational program of the secondary schools of different educational boards of Mumbai. Now, what he did both the type of analysis, descriptive and inferential analysis, and he compared the quality assurance programs offered by ICC board, CBSE, SSC, and IJC. So let us see how he has undertaken this research and what is the outcome. This is very interesting. This is the sample. Uh, he approached the teachers teaching in all these teachers teaching in these boards, ICC, CBSE, SSC, and IJC. And this is the data, we can say, number of teachers from the data was collected, 322, 260, 278, 61, and total sample size was 921. And he used systematic stratified random sampling technique to ensure valid and representative sample. And these are the percentages. Now, what he found that there are very less number of IGC affiliated schools. Therefore, he couldn't get much, we can say, data as far as IGC school is concerned. But if you see, as far as the rest of the, we can say, three boards are concerned, ICC, CBSE, and SSC are concerned, uh, they have got a very adequate and appropriate and balanced representation as far as sample is concerned. So let us move now. Now this is the data. Now what I have tried to do over here, he has measured mean, median, mode as a measure of central tendency of different boards, and he has also measured uh, the SD, skewness, and kurtosis. These are the measures of the variability. And most interesting to see the relationship as far as this data set is concerned. Uh, if you look at as far as this mode is concerned, the mode for ICC board is 285 here, median is 264, and mean is 258. Now look at the trends, how they are, we can say, related, which I have shown in this graph. If you look at value of the mode is more than median, value of the median is more than mean, and this is how it represents this kind of figure. And if you see, as far as this curve is concerned, it has got little long tail on the left hand side, and this is what is termed the negative skewness. Now, when I say negative skewness is concerned, which I have shown over here, another graph, you can say this graph, negative skewness. Now, if you look at SSC boards, we can say teachers' perception of the quality assurance of the schools are concerned, the skewness comes minus 1.08. Now, skewness is on the left-hand side, and if you look at as per these figures are concerned, I will say that this skewness is moderate in nature, negative and moderate. So likewise, for CBSE board, you have got minus 0.58, and then SSC board, you have got minus 0.63, and for IGC board, you have got minus 1.7. So this comes under the category of skewness. Now, if we get skewness moderately, then we can conclude that the obtained distribution or other which is under study is more or less, we can say, normal. So here we can proceed further, and on the basis of we can say this data set, we can move further and apply the different statistical techniques. This in the similar case also, if you look at the CBSE board, again the same kind of relationship you will find. For SSC board, mode is value is greater than median and mean, and then for IGCC board also. This is a very unique kind of data that we have received. Okay, as far as this study is concerned. Now let us move. Now, what in this graph, what we have tried to do, we have to just shown the mean values. Overall mean values as far as these we can say boards are concerned. So these are the mean values of the perception of the teachers as far as the quality assurance programs offered by the different schools are concerned. For ICC boards, it is somewhere 258.52. CBSE board 264.73, SSC board 247.93, and IGCC board definitely 267.2. Now, if you look at the graph, IGC board has got a higher mean value, but now this value, the kind of difference that you find in these values, this is the mathematical difference. The values differ on the basis of we can say the numbers, but doesn't mean that there's a true difference. So in research, what we do, we don't apply the mathematics, but we apply the statistics, and then we apply the statistical techniques, and then we try to find out the statistical difference. There may be a difference which might have occurred due to a chance, or there may be a true difference. So let us see whether we are able to find out, you can say, a difference by a chance. There is a true difference. That's very, very interesting. Now let us move it. Before we can say go for statistical analysis is concerned, we had to keep in mind as a researcher the different things, the techniques that we need to use for testing the hypothesis. There are two types of statistical techniques which are used for testing of the hypothesis. They are parametric and non-parametric tests. Now here, now since we are connecting our sample to the population, then definitely this is the parametric technique, because we want to establish the parameters. We want to do the inferences of the population. But whereas as far as the non-parametric techniques are concerned, we do not draw any, we can say, inferences from this by applying non-parametric tests. Now let us, as per this discussion is concerned, I will limit it to the parametric studies. Now, parametric techniques can be applied for the purpose of testing the hypothesis if following conditions are to be satisfied. This was given by Pandya 2010. A beautiful chapter is there, which is in Flipnet, which I will share with you the resource, and then you can go over there, and chapter number 8 is there, which is very beautifully written. You can go and refer. A very easy language they have used and easy to understand. Now let me discuss the different conditions. When the sample is randomly selected, this is the condition. So you cannot do the purposive sampling, or any other kind of convenience sampling won't do. You must follow the principle of sampling technique, that is random. Then when the variance of the various groups are equal or near equal. So that means there shouldn't be much more variance as far as the different we can say groups are concerned. Then and then this kind of technique is appropriate. Otherwise, you have to go for the non-parametric or other kind of statistical techniques. When the data are in the form of the interval or the ratio scale, this is the prerequisite condition to apply the inferential statistics. When the observations are independent, when the sample size is more than 30. You cannot apply this technique when the sample size is less than 30. And when the data follow normal distribution, which I already mentioned, it should be ideally a normal distribution, or it can be near normal, more or less. These are some of the terms that we use in order to describe the normal distribution. Now, inferential analysis through ANOVA or the F test. Now, as far as this study that was conducted by Dr. Mitesh Gala is concerned, now since there are more than two groups, then we need to apply the ANOVA as the test. We cannot directly apply the t-test. First, we have to find out whether there is a significant difference in the mean score of the four groups. If there is a significant difference, they can then we can proceed for the further we can say data analysis. Otherwise, we will stop over there and we will say that even though there is a difference, a mathematical difference in the mean scores are concerned, but mathematical difference is concerned, and difference has occurred due to a chance factor. There is no true difference. But suppose that the true difference is there, Then we will go further and will apply the t-test. So let me go further. Okay, now this is the outcome of the ANOVA analysis. And if you look at as per the obtained F value is concerned, F value is 17.5. Now, if you look as per the P value is concerned, P value is definitely less than 0.001. And then now since F value is greater than the table value, which is much more higher than we can say table value, and p is less than 0.001, so we can say that there is a significant difference in the mean score. So that means among the four group, there is one group, at least there is one group whose mean score is definitely significantly higher than the other groups. There can be many more, but at least there is one group whose mean score is higher. Now let me go to the next one. Okay. Now this is the output of the t-test. So once you get your data, we can say uh, uh, f-test is significant, then you cannot stop over here. You need to go one step ahead, and then you have to calculate the t-test. So what we have done, we have made the pairs of all the four groups alternatively, and this is the outcome. Now outcomes say that as per this T value with the first A, ICC and CBSE board is concerned, the T value is significant. So all yellows show the significant value, but there's only one, we can say, pair, CBSE and IGC schools teachers are concerned, there is no significant difference. So if you see, as far as this entire chart is concerned, this chart is little, we can say, very comprehensive, not complex, but this can also be represented in a very simple manner. uh, Now if you look at all those we can say differences are showing that there's a true difference in their mean scores. Why? But there's only one pair which you won't find any significant difference in their mean score. So let me show it to you in a very different diagram. Now, this is a we can say this diagram is a representative diagram in the form of Venn diagram, which we thought of. I don't know if this kind of representation is there in any of those research books or not. But what we do, these are the mean scores of SSC board, ICC boards, CBC board, and IGC boards. If you see the difference, now the separate circles show that the significant difference is there, separate circles. So on the basis of this graphical representation, I can say that there is a significant difference in the mean scores between SSC and ICSC, between SSC and CBSE, between SSC and IGSE. There is a significant difference. Okay. Now, when I take ICC board schools, there is a significant difference between ICSC and SSC, ICSC and CBSE, ICSC and IGSC. Okay, so if you see SSC and IGC has got significant difference with all the we can say other groups, whereas CBSE has got a significant difference with SSC and with ICSE, but CBSE's mean score is not significantly different than IGSE. On the similar lines also, IGSE boards we can say mean score is not significantly different than the CBSE board schools, but it is definitely significant than the ICSE board and the SSC board. So this is a very simple graphical representation. With the help of this, we can explain everything. There's no need to remember. So if you look at as far as these two groups are concerned, CBSE and IGSE, we can put them on number one position. We can say that even though there is a mathematical difference in their mean score, but statistically it is not different. So whatever the difference that has arrived or that has been calculated, it has occurred due to a chance. This is not a true difference. So we can conclude that the quality assurance of CBSE board schools and the IGC board schools are concerned, it's almost same. But that, there we can say quality assurance is definitely better than first ICC board and then SSC board. SSC board schools quality assurance is not up to the mark. Has been said by the teachers, and whereas I'm very happy that as far as the CBC board is concerned, is doing well at par with the IGC board school. And if you see, as far as the these are some of the inferences which I would like to draw from my observation as a researcher. If you see, as far as the cost of the education is concerned in CBSE board schools are concerned, as comparatively much more lesser than the schools are of IGCSE board. So it is preferred that one shall offer we can say quality education which is being offered in the CBSE board. And if you see, as far as the Indian we can say student population is concerned, and because of the limited resources and very moderate economic condition of we can say most of the Indians is concerned, this is the most preferred board where we should choose to get the education. This is a wonderful, we can say, a study for all of us. And with the help of the inferential analysis, we can take decisions like this. IGSC board is concerned, is mean score is definitely high. If we have got the money and if we can afford it to send our children by spending 3, 4, 5 lakhs per annum, it's fine. But CBSE board the fees are ranging from 50,000 to 1 lakh at the most, not more than that. So as far as this catering to the master's education is concerned, CBSE board is a better option for all of us in comparison to ICC. Even if you look at ICC board schools are concerned, they are costly. Their education, we can say, cost of the education is high as compared to CBSE. So if you want to make a choice between the schools ICC and CBSE is concerned, I will say that go for CBSE on the basis of this study. There can be many more studies like that. One can is free to choose the kind of studies which are available in the we can say market. Okay, now let me take up another case. Impact of smart board technology on learning behavior of the secondary schools. Now, there was one researcher, Dr. Snigdha Kadam. She wanted to know the impact of smart board technology, which is being used in different schools. So, she had two objectives to study, that is the descriptive analysis, and to compare the impact of smart board technology on secondary school students, learning behavior in relation to studying the perception of the students of the 7th standard. So, this is very interesting study. Now, look at the we can say the sampling technique that she has used for the 7th standard student. She has collected the data from 100 SSC schools, ICC 100, CBSE. So total sample size was 300. Now, let us move to this. These are the statics. Again, if you see, as far as the nature of the curve is concerned, value of mode is greater than median, value of median is greater than mean. Likewise, this is for SSC, likewise is ICSC and CBSE. So look at as far as these values are concerned, there is certain pattern that has been followed, and that pattern gives us the skewness. Now here, if you look at the skewness, it's very near to 0. It's 0.17, not much difference than the 0. And look at these values, minus for ICC board minus 0.26 and minus 0.85. So if you see the pattern of this we can say graph is concerned, you will obtain the curve like this, where the tail is tilted in a little long on the left hand side, and this was termed as a negatively skewed curve like this. Okay, again on the basis of this observation, we can say that this we can say three distributions that we have got it for SSC, ICC and CBSE board are nearly normal. So it allows us to apply these statistical techniques. Now this is what the bar graph which I have used in order to uh, compare the three mean scores. Now look at this number 81.94, which belongs to CBSE board schools. Again, now CBSE mean score is higher significantly than the we can say ICC board rate. That is 74.16, but this is here 81.94. So here now again three groups are there. If I wish to find out whether there is a significant difference or not, again I need to apply the ANOVA. So ANOVA is applied over here. Now ANOVA can be calculated three ways. One is you can do it in Excel. Another we can say you've got Vasa states, which you can go online, the online calculator, which helps you to do all those calculations. And as a researcher, I will advise you that you should have the knowledge of multiple, we can say, computation calculators to do all those calculations. Actually, I do not have that system. Otherwise, I wanted to demonstrate it how to do the calculation as per all those, we can say, calculators are concerned, offline as well as online also. There's another, we can say, beautiful software of the program, that is SPSS. You all must have heard that. Even you can put the data, transport the data into the SPSS, and you can do all those kind of calculations, and there you can carry out all those inferential statics over there. Then now this is the outcome of the ANOVA, and look at the value. Obtained value is 330.65. This is the obtained value, whereas the F critical, the standard value, is only 3.03. Now this signifies that there is a significant difference in the mean scores. So definitely now, since CBSE board, we can say groups mean score is high, that is 81.94. This is the highest, this is the lowest one. So one thing is very clear, that at least as far as this one pair is concerned, there's a significant difference in the mean score. So on the basis of this observation, even without calculating the t-test, I can say that the learning behavior of the students from the smartboard technology is concerned is much better in comparison to the students who are studying in ICT board school. So that means, as far as the we can say the groups are concerned, I can say that these schools are making use of technology in a much better manner in comparison to the other schools. So this is what the kind of inference that we can draw. This is actually comparatively a little smaller sample size, and if you want to generalize to a particular ward, or we can say district, or we can say a couple of districts, then we need to have follow the techniques of we can say sampling techniques, which are very scientific in nature, which is followed on the principle of adequate, we can say, representation of the sample to minimize the sampling error. Then now let me go to the case 3. Now this is very interesting. It's very we can say interesting. Yes. A study of entrepreneurship traits as perceived by prospective pre-primary teachers in relation to their qualification, age, marital status, and the parents' occupation. Now, uh, let us move. There are two objectives. First objective was written keeping in mind the descriptive analysis to study the entrepreneurship traits, and another was to compare the entrepreneurship traits on the basis of the prospective pre-primary teachers' qualification, age, marital status, and the parents' occupation. So this is again a very interesting study. And as per this study is concerned, a Likert scale was prepared with the help of the expert. And the purpose was to measure the entrepreneurship skill traits total. The questionnaire was constructed comprising 5 sections, or we can say sub-variables: name, self-confidence, taking initiative, open-mindedness, passion, and the risk taking. So there were total 25 items in the questionnaire, and there were total 5 categories of each component of the entrepreneurship trait. The data was collected from 54 student teachers. Descriptive and inferential analysis were, we can say, carried out. Now, this is what the instrument was, we can say, tested as far as its internal consistency is concerned. Cronbach alpha was calculated, and the Cronbach alpha for the entire tool was 0.961. And even I have calculated the category-wise Cronbach alpha, which comes for the initiative taking, it comes to 0.865, confidence 0.74, open-mindedness 8.868, and then passion 0.72. Now, if you see, none of those, we can say, values of the alpha is less than 0.7. So I can say that as far as the internal consistency in the items of that category is concerned, is good. And overall, if you see, as per the internal consistency is concerned, it's best because value is very higher. Then I tested the four hypotheses. I wanted to see the difference as far as their background is concerned in terms of education. So qualification in terms of graduate and undergraduate. I find that as far as their entrepreneurship traits are concerned, those were significantly different. So I find the value T value is 2.89, which can be said significant. So on the basis of this observation, I can say that the graduate students has got more tendency to become an entrepreneur as compared to undergraduate student. So on the basis of this inference, I can say that if one wants to be a successful entrepreneur, qualification, or we can say the study, plays a greater role. More the qualification, more will be the traits to become a successful entrepreneur. So these are the initial potential traits that has been measured. Then let us move to the testing of the hypothesis two. Now here we wanted to measure what is the difference between the mean scores of the, we can say, respondents having age up to 22 years and above the age of 22 years. And if you compare their mean score and apply the t-test, the value of the t-test, obtained t-test is 0.77, whereas the table value is 2.01. So here again, we found that there's no significant difference. So on the basis of this observation, it is interesting that age do not have any concern with development of the entrepreneurship traits are concerned. So one can be an entrepreneur at any age of the life, like Amitabh Bachchan. Uh, See, he's doing well, even he's 70, 74 years also. So he's a very enterprising person. So, and as per the enterprising traits are concerned, do not have any relation as far as the age is concerned. This is what the inference I can draw from this observation. Then we looked into the another category, that is unmarried and married background, whether the person is married or unmarried. Again, when we calculated their mean score, standard deviation, and then obtained t value, the t value was 1.43. Now look at this value, which is lesser than this table value. So we can say that there is no significant difference. Whatever the difference that is appeared in there, we can say mean score like 72 and 79 is merely a mathematical difference, but not statistical difference. So again, we can say that as far as the marital background do not, we can say, determine the, we can say, entrepreneur traits are concerned. So there is no relationship. In fact, you can say, as far as marital status of the person is concerned and entrepreneur traits are concerned. Then another hypothesis which was tested, keeping in mind the background of the parents of the, we can say, the respondent. Parent had a business background or a service background. And again, we found t values 1.17, which is not significant. And if you look at the mean values, 71 and 77, even though there is a mathematical difference, but that difference has occurred due to a chance, but there is no true difference. On the basis of that, we can say that uh, as far as the parental background, whether it's a business or a service is concerned, do not, we can say, determine as far as the entrepreneur traits in an individual are concerned. This is a beautiful study which help us to understand what makes the basis as far as the development of the entrepreneur traits are concerned. Then I tried to, we can say, use the inferential analysis by, we can say, doing the linear regression analysis. Now, uh, this this was, we can say, the title of the research which I undertook was, this is the continuation of this. A linear regression analysis of the entrepreneur traits exploring three primary teachers, student perception. This is one more objective which I added to the previous, we can say, study. Now, what I have done, I have gone into the components of the, we can say, entrepreneurial traits are concerned. So I have framed four hypotheses: H1, H2, H3, H4, and all these hypotheses are not null hypotheses, as previously we made all null hypotheses, but here I have made the hypothesis like that. Passion and open-mindedness, these are two components, will positively influence students' risk-taking behavior towards entrepreneurship. Likewise, I have made the pairs, passion and now open-mindedness. Now this is taking initiative. It initially was risk taking, then it is here taking initiative. Then I change the variables over here. Confidence and taking initiative, whether it has got any influence on the risk taking. And finally, I took three, we can say, pair these variables: confidence, taking initiative, attitude, and open-mindedness, and passion. Okay, all four. And the last one, risk taking, because risk taking is a major component of entrepreneurial trait in comparison to the passion, open-mindedness, taking initiative, and confidence. See, there are chances that people may have all four, but not risk taking. Many people don't prefer to take the risk. So that's how I have tried to, we can say, see the relationship or the impact of these variables on the last variable, that is risk taking. So this is a very interesting study. Now let us see how these relationships were established further. Now the methodology, again, 25 items total in the questionnaire. There are five items in each of those components, five components. Again, 54 students were selected for this, and linear regression model was conducted to test the four hypotheses. Now, this is the matrix which describe the correlation analysis, and all rates that you see over here, all rates, the two sticks are there. Correlation is the significant at 0.0 level to 10. So see 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, all. So if you see, as far as the relationship is concerned, the relationship is significant. In none of those components, none of the, we can say, the components, you won't find a relationship which is not significant. So that means if you see, as far as all the components which determine the entrepreneur's traits are concerned, are essential, and highly, we can say, correlated with one another. Uh, and even as far as the organization's success is concerned, organization succeeds when all its components are on the same page. They are moving in the right direction, in harmony and one to one, with a lot of cooperation, collaboration, coordination. Then and then one can succeed. The way, if you look at the way we are proceeding as far as this national webinar is concerned, all the stakeholders, especially the conducting colleges and the department, we are moving on, we can say, parallelly, in a greater harmony, with a greater level of, we can say, coordination, mutual respect, teamwork, team spirit. So this is what is required. The same thing, as far as one has to be an entrepreneur, one has to have, we can say, self-belief, confidence, open-mindedness to join to the people, believing people, building the relationship, trust. One needs to take a calculated risk, and then one has to be there in the leadership role and take initiative. Then and then one can become an entrepreneur. So this is what if you look at, as far as this outcome of the correlation matrix is concerned, is highly enthusiastic, highly encouraging, and then it develops a greater level of belief in us that if we want to work in the organization, if we can work in, we can say, collaborative manner, and when we are on the same page, with mutual respect, and if we are, we can say, together, we can achieve. And I hope that this is the main message which I would like to give you, okay, by doing this observation. Now let me look into, as per the testing of each hypothesis is concerned. So let us take hypothesis number 1, H1. So let us see. I have taken two predictors, passion and open-mindedness, and the dependent variable is risk-taking. Now, as per the model summary is concerned, now this I have calculated in Vasal states, and this also can be obtained in the SPSS also. I think I have used SPSS here. So the value of the R square is 0.885, and then uh, uh, let me read it out what exactly I have written. As we can see from the above table, the value of R square indicates the two predictors jointly, passion and open-mindedness explained 88.5%. So you have to multiply this by 100, 0.885 multiply by in order to convert this number into the percentages. So there both the components they explain 88.5% of the variation in the dependent variable, that is risk taking component of the entrepreneurship. So that means almost they have got a high influence as far as determining the variation in the dependent variable is concerned. That is risk taking. Okay, now let us move further. Now, as far as this table is concerned, I have done beta calculations, and this is first predictor open-mindedness, and then second predictor is passion. The value of the open-mindedness is 3.364, and the value of we can say passion is 0.608. Now, if you look at these values are concerned, the standardized coefficient beta value show the passion is 6.08, have larger impact than the open-minded. So even within, if you want to see which we can say a predictor has got the maximum influence on the dependent variable, that also can be determined this value. So if you see as far as value of the passion, beta value of the passion is concerned, we can say that the passion, has got more, we can say, emphasis in comparison to the open-mindedness on determining the, we can say, risk-taking behavior of a person is concerned. This is a very interesting study. And then we have also calculated the T. The T also indicate that both the predictors had a significant and positive impact on the risk-taking scores at 0.0 level. So inferential analysis is a wonderful technique that help us to determine the relationship, and then what we can say predictors can affect, and in what we can say what magnitude as far as the dependent variable is concerned. This is a fantastic study which can be of a great help to determine cause and effect relationship, the relationship between different variables are concerned. Now let me move to the hypothesis number 2. Passion and open-mindedness influence the students' initiative taking component of the entrepreneurship. Now here the predictors are passion and again open-mindedness, and then the dependent variable is initiative taking. So if you look at the value of R square is concerned, it is 0.83. So that means we can say that 83.4% of the variation in the dependent variable. So that means these two predictors, passion and open-mindedness, they determine that 83.4% variation in the dependent variable, that is initiative taking. And if you look at this below figure is concerned, open-mindedness and passion, and the beta value for open-mindedness is 0.554, and the passion is 0.389. Now here, open-mindedness has got an edge over the passion as far as initiative taking is concerned. Now here is the reverse. Initially it was risk taking, now it is initiative taking. So here, even so, that means in this case, as far as the initiative taking is concerned, one needs to be open-minded rather than the passion. No doubt, it's a joint effect, but as far as the magnitude of the open-mindedness is concerned, is greater than we can say the passion as far as this case is concerned. And also the T significant, which indicates that both the predictors have significant and positive impact on the initial taking scores at 0.00 level. Now let us move to the hypothesis number 3. Now, the confidence and taking initiative attitude will positively influence students' risk-taking component of the entrepreneurship. So the calculated R square value is 0.865. That means as far as the predictors, confidence and initiative taking are concerned, they explain that 86.50 percentage of the variation in the dependent variable, that is risk taking component of the entrepreneurship. So it has got a larger, we can say, impact on the dependent variable, that is risk taking behavior. So if we really something promotes you to take the risk, is nothing but the confidence and the taking initiative. Two things, they determine that, that's why people take the risk while doing the business. That's more important. Risk taking, again, let me, this is very, very interesting, we can say, observation. Confidence and taking initiatives, very, very, very important. Now let us see the internal, we can say, the impact, joint impact we have seen, 86.5%. So let us see individually. Confidence is values, beta values 0.403, and for initiative taking, the beta values 0.566. So here, in comparison to the confidence, initiative, one may have confidence, but more than that, one should initiate an action. So here the action can play a greater role in determining the behavior of the dependent variable, that is risk taking. So until and still, if you don't take the initiative with the greater level of confidence, you can never take risk. This is what the message which I would like to give from this observation. And also the T signifies that both the predictors had a significant and positive impact on the risk taking scores at 0 and 001 level. Next, this is the fourth hypothesis, the last one. The confidence taking initiative, attitude, and then open-mindedness and passion, all four variables will positively influence the students' risk-taking component of the entrepreneurship. So rest of all will determine the, we can say, impact on the dependent variable, that is risk taking. So let us see what is the value of R square. The R square is 0.914, which is maximum in comparison to all other, we can say, hypotheses. So what does it mean? That all the four components, that is confidence, initiative taking, open-mindedness, and the passion, all four together, they explain 91.40, almost all are maximum in the variation in the dependent variable, that is risk taking component of the entrepreneurship. And if you look at as far as the standard beta value of the betas are concerned, which shows passion 0.380, have the larger impact than the open-mindedness, 0.203, initiative taking beta values 0.193, and confidence beta is equal to 0.237. So if you compare as far as the influence of these variables on the final dependent variable risk taking is concerned, you will find that passion drives the rest of the all. Then comes the confidence. So first you need to have the passion, followed by the confidence, then followed by the open-mindedness, and then you need to take the initiative. So this is how you can put these variables in the hierarchy as far as their we can say the level of we can say impact, or the magnitude of the impact in determining the we can say dependent variable is concerned. And again, T is significant, which indicates that the confidence patient predictors have a significant and positive impact on risk taking scores at so and so level. This is how this inferential analysis can be done in order to take decisions, in order to understand the relationship as far as different variables under studies are concerned, or if you wish to do, we can say, uh, connect our we can say sample to the population, and if you want to draw the inferences out of that, those can be done by following the various statistical procedures based on the guidelines that has been we can say provided as far as selecting the sample is concerned, and then sampling techniques are concerned, construction of the tool are concerned, are even satisfied. Before undertaking the inferential analysis, one need to see that it permits all the we can say conditions permit to go ahead and do the inferential analysis, so that you can connect the outcome of your sample with the parameters of the population is concerned. Now here, before I wind up, before I conclude, I would like to tell you all that I have also mentioned in my presentation that uh, there are so many we can say functions in the Excel, and Excel is the best we can say tool, whereas you need to install add-in into that, and then you can calculate all descriptive statistics which come at a stage. You can calculate your t test, f test, and even as far as this regression analysis are concerned. So everything, you just select the data, there are certain steps you follow, calculate, and immediately you receive the output. Take the output in your Word doc, and then after reporting it, you can write the descriptions as well as the further we can say analysis. So this is Vasa State. You can also use online calculator. This is a wonderful tool, and it takes fractions of we can say seconds, and then the entire data that is put into the system gives you the output. And then if you know how to interpret the data and describe it in a proper we can say manner, then it is an easy task. So these are of a great help to the researcher as far as these online calculators are concerned. And then this is the SPSS. This SPSS package is very popular among the educationists. Everybody must be knowing it. I don't know how many of you use it, but it is user friendly, and you can use it for calculation of your data. And finally, the references which I have taken, these are some of the references link which I would like to suggest. Go over there. There is a approximately 20-page PDF file is there, and the title is Chapter 8, Inferential Analysis, and beautiful we can say explanation about the hypothesis, inferential analysis, how to do it, t-test, ANOVA, and then omega square is also there, and in Wolf's D also is also formulas and explanation is also given over here. So it's a wonderful document you must refer in order to understand what is inferential analysis. And finally, I will thank to all of you for passionate listening, and I hope that I have done my job. I'm thankful to the entire BTTC family, my colleagues, my co-colleagues, my support staff, students, uh, our beloved Dr. Shefali Pandya, Professor Head of Department of University of Mumbai, for supporting for us in all our endeavors all the time. She's a mentor to the Bombay Teachers Training College, and we look up to her in all our endeavors. And then we all the faculty members, we do we can say have a greater respect as far as the way her persona is concerned, her professional commitments are concerned, uh, and we will love to continue our association from the bottom of our heart. And I once again thank you to all the participants for supporting, by participating, registering with us in the large numbers. I hope that we will live up to your expectations. Thank you. God bless you. Raju sir, now you can open the session for question and answer.
Thank you, sir. There have been many comments, and they are very positive comments. And I guess the participants are very happy to have a session on inferential analysis, which in fact uh, is a major dilemma for non-statistician, and education students are not all from the mathematical statistics background. So with that aspect, I think they would have gained a lot. However, there are certain questions that they have put, and some are pertaining to the session that you have taken, and others are not pertaining to the session that you have taken. So I would be selecting few which our team has posted in the chat, which are pertaining to the session. One question has been asked by Deepak H. Is it possible to conduct inferential statistics without conducting descriptive statistics?
No, one should not. Straightforward. I mentioned in the beginning of my, we can say, introduction, because the descriptive analysis, form the basis of, we can say, as far as your inferential analysis is concerned. No researcher shall do the inferential analysis in absence of the descriptive analysis. It is as good as, you are making a recipe without washing your vegetables and all those things. So you shall never try to do that. So
Very correct.
follow the procedures, and then wash your vegetables, cut it in the appropriate proportions, and then have proper recipe, and then inferential analysis like a tadka to the dal. It comes at the end, maybe 10% is there, but before that all preparations are to be done, and one needs to look into the parameters, and then one can apply the inferential analysis. We shall never do the inferential analysis in isolation with the descriptive analysis.
Correct.
Yes.
So there is a question, while applying ANOVA, what should be the nature of dichotomous variable? It is asked by Venkateshwar Meher.
There are different types of, we can say, ANOVAs, the two-way, three-way. It depends upon the matrix of, we can say, the variables that are under study and the relationship that you want to establish. So it entirely depends upon how do you frame your objectives and the basis of your objectives, and the way you want to establish the relationship between different variables. There are multiple ways, we can say, to write the hypothesis before, we can say, selecting the different techniques of NO are concerned. So it requires us entire session on as far as dichomatous and all kind of, we can say, NOs are concerned, two-way, three-way, and all those things.
Correct, sir.
Yes.
There is a question by Mrs. Patel, and she wants to know, can't we do only with the mean and standard deviation rather than considering other aspects like median, mode, and other descriptive statistics? Is mean and standard deviation not sufficient to carry on the inferential analysis?
I won't suggest, it is an individual choice. See, until if you don't understand the entire, we can say, the process of the research is concerned. Uh, um, if you don't study anything, and then you look at very specific statistics are concerned, then you won't develop the broader view in understanding the research problem underlying. Because if you see, as far the research is concerned, research is not limited to calculation of mean and standard deviation. Those are mere statics, which gives you the number in the distribution, and at the most, they play a significant role in calculating the t-test and maybe NO also. But as far as the other parameters are concerned, I will give one example. Suppose that your frequency distribution is not normal, then by looking at these two, we can say, values, and using these two values will be of no use when you are not able to apply a parametric test. So you had to look into the conditions. You had to look into the variability and the kind of dispersion is concerned. You need to look into the skewness, kurtosis, and then the kind of distribution that you got it. If the distribution is skewed, it's not symmetrical, then you can, there is useless to use these two values
Right.
in isolation. Yes.
So there is another question. Um, you have used the term Cronbach alpha. So somebody, Moshmi Kumari,
Uh-huh.
wants to know, when should we use Cronbach alpha?
To establish the reliability, internal consistency of your, we can say, tool. So this is one of the conditions to, when you are preparing a new tool, then you must check the internal consistency of the tool. If the Cronbach alpha value is anyway less than 0.7, suppose it is 0.69, then you need to, we can say, look into the testing items, and then you need to change it, delete it, edit it, and then you must redo the thing so that alpha value is significantly greater than 0.7. In fact, it should be somewhere zero 0.8 and something. Anything lesser than zero 0.7 won't establish as per the internal consistency in the different items the tool are concerned. So, but if your tool is not appropriate, if the tool is not standardized, if your tool does not conform to the we can say the norms of the measurement, then there's no use to there's no point in using the tool. I'll give one example. Now we use measurement tools in our daily life, by, by measuring the kilogram, liters, measurement, centimeters. If instead of using the measuring tape, I start using threads and then all, uh, then I won't be able to do the justice with the measurement because I don't know the units. I'm not using the units. I'm not using the standard, we can say, measuring tools. The same way, as far as this calculation of Cronbach alpha is concerned, it is determines as far as the reliability index of a tool is concerned. So it is must. It is must. Yes.
Right, sir. And that has also been spoken of in the other session about Cronbach alpha being an important tool for reliability. Um, there is a question by Debani Deb, and she wants to know, basically, when you were talking about ICSE and CBSE board comparison and the
Yeah.
main statistics, she wanted to know whether this result that we get from inferential statistics, is
Yeah.
this result with respect to quality of boards close to reality. I guess what she wants to ask is, because we already know that ICSE and CBSE board are not same, they are different. So how far this is close to reality?
Yeah. So this is one research, but we also do the review of the related literature. So while forming the opinion, we don't take the decision on the basis of the one opinion. So as far as this research is concerned, this research has given one opinion. I will suggest that if you wish to take the decision, so you look into the other factors also, like the school that is there in your vicinity before taking a decision on that. You need to look into as far as the local management is concerned. You can take the opinion of the, you can say, the other parents who are there. You can do the review of little literature, and then you can see, you have to collect multiple views, and then on the basis of that you can take the decision. This research has given you an indication. It may not be a reality in all the situations, but in situation in which this research was conducted, this is the outcome of the research. So
Right.
you have to take a wise decision on that.
Right, sir. So I think that is very important that we should not rely only on the numbers and the statistics. We should
Yes.
also apply our mind to
Yes.
understand what it is revealing to us.
Yes.
Sir, I will take one last question from the participants, and
Yes.
this is from Deepa Kait, and she wants to know: is it compulsory to frame research hypothesis for regression analysis?
See, I will suggest no one should carry out the inferential analysis without having the hypothesis. The reason is that the hypothesis frame the basis of the comparisons, and it gives you the reasons, to do that, apply and select the different appropriate techniques. So a good researcher will always think of the framing of the objectives, and in order to achieve the objectives, will definitely frame the hypothesis appropriately and select the appropriate statistical techniques, so that that hypothesis can be tested scientifically, and then the inferences drawn from that testing of the hypothesis can be correlated, from sample to the population. So in my opinion, it is must.
Right, sir. May I now invite if there are any queries from the participants who are there on the Zoom with us. If you wish to ask any question. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Let me now propose the formal vote of thanks. It's my proud privilege to propose the vote of thanks. But first, let me start with thanking the resource person for today, Dr. Bhagwan Balani. Sir, you explained the concept of inferential analysis in a simple, lucid, and visual manner. Concepts of descriptive analysis and its relative and relation and significance for inferential analysis was made clear. The three cases which you have taken from real life examples made the session interesting and relatable to the participants. Your evaluative and value judgment added meaningfulness to the statistical procedures. T-test, ANOVA, and linear regression were well explained. I have been looking actively on the YouTube chat of the BTTC official channel, and you shall be glad to know that participants have given their overwhelming positive feedback on the chat, and they have found your session to be very valuable to them, particularly for those who are still at the basic level of the research. Sir, thank you so much for taking up this session. And this session, I would say, has come from a teacher to the students. You have made the session so simple that those who find inferential analysis hi-fi or complex to understand, you have made it very simple for them to understand it and go ahead and apply it. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Raju sir. Thank you, Raju sir. Thank you, Shefali ma'am. Thank you, my colleagues, for supporting me all the way. Thank you. God bless you all. Yes, Raju sir.
Thank you, sir. Let me also thank all the other members of the team. But now I would like to thank you as the head of the Bombay Teachers Training College family and the head of the Department of Education, Professor Dr. Shefali Pandya Madam, who is, as I yesterday also told, who is a teacher of teacher educators, and she's a mentor to all of us. Her constant guidance and support to us has made us grow immensely, professionally and personally in the field of education. Thank you so much, Dr. Balani and Professor Pandya, for your support for this national webinar series. I also would like to thank all my dear colleagues, both at Bombay Teachers Training College as well as Department of Education, University of Mumbai, for the excellent support that they have rendered to make this webinar a success. The members behind the scene, the technical team and the BIAP team, and also our wonderful supportive students, in particular Salsabil and Nikita Soni, but in fact each and every student of Bombay Teachers Training College as well as of Department of Education has put a lot of efforts to make today's event and all these days a success.
Raju sir, wait. Shefali ma'am wants to speak. Shefali ma'am, please unmute your mic. And we are looking forward to your views and your kind words and blessings.
No, I just wanted to thank Dr. Balani for a wonderful session on inferential analysis and for enlightening all the participants on this particular topic. Thank you so much, Dr. Balani.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your ashirwad.
Yes, ma'am. Your words of appreciation, recognition, and assurance is a blessing for all of us, and continue to bless us, ma'am, in future too. Thank you, ma'am. And I would fail in my vote of thanks if I don't acknowledge the presence of such wonderful participants who were there with us throughout the session and throughout these many days, giving their positive feedback to each and every resource person and asking very good thought-provoking questions. Thank you, dear participants. I request you all to submit the feedback form if you have not done so far. Participants, your participation and feedback to us motivates us to do our best. Very soon, we will be coming with next webinar series on an interesting theme. But till then, please be back today in the evening at 4 o'clock because we have a wonderful session. And the next session is session 11, the last technical session of this national webinar series at 4 o'clock. It is going to be dealt by Dr. Gopal Krishna Thakur, who is the head of Mahatma Gandhi Antarrashtriya Hindi Vishwavidyalaya, a central university at Wardha.
The topic is very interesting. After understanding so much about research, various aspects, we should also not fail to understand how to write academically, how to put our ideas on a paper. And I think academic writing will widen our horizons for this aspect and would complete the circle that we have started on the first day. Thereafter, please continue to be with us for the validatory function. That will be at 5:30 immediately without a gap after the session 11th, the last session. And the chief guest for the validatory function is our Professor Ravindra Kulkarni sir, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor of University of Mumbai. So please be with us and reap the benefit of this national webinar series to the fullest. I thank you one and all. If I'm forgotten anyone, I apologize. But my thanks on part of BTTC and Department of Education to each and everyone who have directly or indirectly contributed to this success of the seminar. Thank you so much. I declare this session to be over now, and I now end the meeting. Thank you so much.